Okay, all right. Not sure who's going to join me, but welcome. Anyone that's listening later on, welcome. I thought I'd try something different today. We do quite a bit of intraday stuff. For anyone that doesn't know, with TradeSetup, and we've got a Discord channel. There might be a few guys that'll be listening to this or listening later that join in quite regularly. And yeah, a lot of intraday trading we do. Particularly, I do a lot on the Hang Seng more than anything else. I think it throws up some really good opportunities. And we also do some of the Nikkei and occasionally the SPY. I'm not a big fan of the SPY as much, but I find that the Hang Seng provides some really good opportunities, and you know when you're right and wrong pretty quickly. So I thought we'd just talk through rather than put up charts later on and here's a setup sort of in hindsight what we traded, what I was trading anyway. I thought it might be good just to talk through a session, how we plan, what levels we're looking at, and why. Where we're going to find some interest. So I better get going. It's open up in about 2 minutes. I've got my coffee in front of me, all ready to go. Yeah, but it's just a bit of a test run. So just bear with me running a bit slow, and if I get caught up, but we'll try to get off some trades also. Okay, so I'll just see how it plays out. See if anything takes my fancy. And I'll try to walk through the price action, what I'm seeing, what I'm seeing play out. But quickly, well, first thing I normally do is just mark up. The market closes at 5 a.m. Okay, so it's good just to, I tend to not use a 30-minute chart, but let's go into a 5-minute chart. You can squash it up and just put on levels that I'm finding interesting. 5 a.m. was down here, wasn't it? So that's where the futures have closed, and you can see that they're opening up higher, or they're intending to open up higher from the CFD pricing. Now, this is platform that I've got up here is TD365.com. So you go to the website, have a look around, play around on the demo. I think it's got a 50 grand demo account. So I play around with this quite a bit. I like the chart's quite basic. You can trade off the charts there as well. So we'll just get that up actually. So what we'll do is just go through the levels to start off with. So these are sort of the overnight highs, which looking to break through there at the moment. We're going to open up. Yeah, we're going to open up in about 5 seconds. You'll see this start to fly around. Got some lower levels down here from where it closed, and there's some more key levels if you just squash this up down here. And then we've got some highs that we're interested in. If I can get enough of that data, it's just up here. There we go. Which we'll just keep an eye on up here as well. Now, if it gets, it's just trading up there now, probably an extension level, just up here where the market extended to yesterday, just into prior levels as well. From there, it's a long way up. No reason why we can't do it. It's a 400 or 500 point rally from here. No reason why we can't do it. But the Hang Seng lately has been, spiking a lot, spiking on the opening, giving it back a lot, and it's probably seems to be more weighted to the downside. I'll go over the index itself. This is the HSI, the Hang Seng index. I'll go to the daily firstly and just draw up. So this is, I don't know why I've deleted it all, but this is what I'm looking at. I'm sort of seeing a bit of weight into this market at the moment. And I was looking at this trend up recently. Well, not recently, but as potentially starting to break down. We'll just have to see how that plays out though. But that leg up potentially starting to break down. It's a bit of a fight between bulls and bears just at this stage. And we've got a couple of levels which it's been chopping around. Now, if that's the major trend up, and we started to fade off that level, you can see these push up to the level, high, low, thrusted through it. And then the important thing is that we broke down through this level, okay, on the index itself. Break down, found a bit of a base in here, and that probably goes into that trend line there, just straight into there, reacted back up. And it's been choppy. It's been choppy for a while on the Hang Seng. It's been whipping around. You think it's strong. It looks set up to go up and it goes down, and vice versa. It looks set up to go down and it goes up. So it's it's a bit of a, you really got to trade what you see, not what you think is going to happen. Having a bias is one thing, but trading from the bias is a different thing. If you see that's going down and you're biased up, you can get yourself in all sorts of trouble. Okay, so if we just drop it down to the 30-minute time frame, this is kind of the action that's got me thinking that potentially a bit of a sell-off. We've come off this zone, which I marked up just off the daily chart. It traded in there a few times, flush, and then got sold off the last couple of sessions ago, I think. Sold off. We're sort of contracting back up, so that's contracting of that leg up. Now, if that's the case, and that's the leg down, what I'd be looking for, if I can clone that, is a move down. I mean, it just depends where from. It could extend down, and that if you just extend it, for taking it from that highs, and we start to get weakness below this high in here, just mark that up, this high in here. Well, sorry, I'm just going to whip through this fast on the index, explain my reasoning. We can go up through there. That's fine. We can grind up. We can get to a high level, but if we find some weakness off that level, we don't get up through there, and we start to back off from that level. So we've got an expansionary phase down, bit of a contraction, and we're looking for a secondary expansion. Now, if that's going to play out, it's going to take off, and it could be pressing down to these lows at 27,480 or thereabouts, which is 1,200 points from here. So there's a lot of fat on the downside if that action plays out. So we're just going to be watching, obviously, the Hang Seng on the open. Go down to the 5-minute chart, see what's happening. You can see this press down here, being soaked back up. Gap up on the open. We're looking to gap up a bit more today. So it's whether we fill that gap like we did yesterday. It's going to be a smaller gap. You can see where it's just showing the open at the moment, up slightly, sort of into those highs from 5 o'clock yesterday. This is on the physical index, the underlying index. I just want to get rid of, actually, let me just get rid of some of these. I didn't realize I've got them all open. Just don't want things to slow down a bit. But you can see that that grind back up. It's whether we continue to grind back up into the yesterday's highs or whether we fade. So I'm not anticipating that we're gonna do that. I'm not anticipating anything. It's kind of, you just got to watch the action after the open at 11:30. So the index opens at 11:30. The futures are at 11:15. So they've just opened 4 minutes ago on the futures. So they'll chop around. They'll make sure they clean out levels left, right, and center before the index opens, and then it starts to get a direction. We're looking for an expansionary phase. Okay. So back to the index. These are sort of those levels that we're looking at, whether this is going to hold, whether we work a short off 28,733. We're just going back a bit. Whether that's going to hold, or what I like to see a lot on the Hang Seng, it tends to, yesterday was a bit different. It just went bang, straight up, straight up from the open. So when you sort of do that, straight up from the open, we're looking for shorts. I was short all day, okay, from there, because, well, actually, I'll talk through this. We've still got some time up our sleeve. This action from here, we call the tap pattern. So anyone that doesn't know the tap pattern, you want a good expansionary phase up with really no pullback. The market really to plow on up, okay, and it's took out a couple of levels here, not key levels, but took out a couple of levels on the upside, flushed that, and then started to fade. And we got this big, and this is the open, I think 11:30 open, flushed down, and then was grindy up, and it was really struggling. Anytime it sort of looked like it was going to go on the lower time frame 1 minute chart, it got sold into. It was getting capped. So what you're looking for is this leg up here. Let me just draw that. I like my colors and things. That leg up there is dragged in a lot of longs, a lot of buyers, and it's into a resistance zone. So there's, what you're seeing is that initial push up where people are chasing it higher. There's no clean setup. If you're looking for a setup to go long, there was nothing here. Nothing. I would like to see maybe something like that, a bit of a pullback, and then maybe some contraction, and then an expansionary phase up. That's what I'd be looking for. Now, that didn't play out at all yesterday. It was just straight up, 11:15 open. This is 11:15 candle, 11:20, 11:25 candle, and then as soon as the index open, flushed down, started to grind up, failing at sort of just above that lower level. So if you're looking at the 1 minute time frame, it's still suckering in and trapping some longs to squeeze them out. So not only longs in here that might be, it can really expand even higher. You've got some longs of that phase generally have just chased it up. Okay, and we're looking for that to unwind. And the tap pattern is sort of this kind of thing where you've got press up, pull back, secondary move up, and that failed at a lower level, and it starts to unwind. And it did. Look, it unwound a hell of a lot more than I thought. I was short quite a few times. I took 2 shorts, 2 scalps, sort of in this part when it was looking like it was, you can see weakness coming to, but just there's no follow through. And then I took a short a short and stopped myself out fairly quick, sort of on this the right hand side of this area, which played out well. Actually, go to the 1 minute chart. Oh, now it's going to struggle to find that. Here we go. So I took some, I think it was, I took a short in here and just didn't hold because I'd already taken 1 or 2 shorts which didn't follow through, and I was just skeptical that it wasn't going to follow through again. There's times on the Hang Seng when it spikes up and it just consolidates into that 2 p.m. close. But as it started to play out in here, especially when we started to break down below this level, it was clear that any buyers above there that spent a lot of work dragging in and suckering in some buyers, and from this move up as well, this expansionary phase up, we're going to have to unwind because it's broken down through those lows, okay, through this low here at around, was it 28,639. So it's just something to be wary of. All right, so that there was when I started to get, I got short in here, stopped myself out for really no reason. It looked like it was going to go and then pop back up again. I was out, got in again here, weathered this storm, was determined to hold it below. Sorry, stop was above this this high, this lower high in here, and it played out quite nicely and just expanded out. Now I took it off into this level, which is in the prior lows in here. Obviously, it was too early in hindsight, but that's the way it goes. So all in all, it was a good day, but that just goes to show when you can really stack up the cards in one direction and they're all forced to get out. And that's what, we're looking for times when in a market where traders are caught, caught on the wrong side or caught, you've got those two things. If you're going to go against a trend, you want enough trap traders to produce, and you want enough evidence that it's going to unravel. Okay, like this, traders are buying in here, you got a high low, whoops, here, high low here, but then you got selling pressure stacking up, a lower high in here. So they let it, you can see that push, minor pullback, it popped up and didn't go anywhere, sold straight into. So that's trapping traders in here as we broke through this previous high, trapped, didn't go anywhere. Okay, so that's why I wasn't going to buy in here unless we got a deep correction. And I'm normally looking for a 2-legged correction. If you got good leg up and you're thinking you want to buy, I wouldn't be buying just in here. I'd be looking for that 2 legs down and then something like this, off a higher low on the lower time frames. I want this kind of action just to clean out a few people on this leg up and then look for a new leg up. I want to take part in that new leg up as opposed to just buying when it's sort of continuing after a stretch move. Yeah, so that's what we're looking to fade the market. Now, when you're not, you're looking for a bit of a, you're looking to go with the flow. It could be the 5-minute time frame. I like to look at it on the one. The one I'm looking for generally, pop up. If I can get that to draw, pop up, and I want some sort of chop around here on the 1, and then a rally. That's what I'll be looking for. And on the 5, it could just be a sort of a continued straight move up. So we'll get over to where we are at the moment. Markets expanding up. We've got the 11:30 open in 5 minutes. It's just got through this level here. Now that was a setup, but I don't like to do a hell of a lot before the 11:30 open, purely because they'll sucker in some people and then flush. Okay, now this looks like it's probably going to tick on its way up, but we'll see. So I've got my 5-minute chart just off to the side. I'll just keep the 1-minute chart on the screen here. I've got my 5-minute chart which just off. Any questions, just whack into the chat. If you hear this later on, any questions you want to just put in, just send it off to email at support@tradesetup.com.au and I'll get back to you, whacking some charts for you. Let me just change this view. I've got to add in a few indicators. So I like to use the RSI. I'll just make that 10. A bit finicky about that. 10 there. MACD 10, 20, and 9. Stochastics, just stick that as 10 as well. I just like that to show me what sort of momentum's doing, where the action could be. I'm essentially just trying to trade that momentum of a move. So we've opened up above the overnight highs, which was just here, spiked up, spiked into it, and now we're retracing. I'm on a 5-minute chart now, so That, like I said, that there for me, legitimate entry. But again, I'm not a big fan of it before 11:30. So I feel you get trapped more often than not. A legitimate entry, you've got that sort of expansionary candle, and you'll see that on the 5 minute chart. You've got this inside candle just in here, inside candle. When you break the highs, it's fair enough to go long there. Your stop could be, I generally have about a 40-point stop. And if it's close enough to a high, low, lower high, I'll pop it above that level just to keep myself in the action if I do get reversed on a bit. But I think that's fair enough. We're going to open in about 3 minutes. We could spike up into this zone, which seems legitimately could easily happen. Get back to the 1 minute chart, and I just want to put on one more thing. Moving average, SMA. Oh, got that already. No. Just to help. So I use the two exponentials, a 20 and a 50, and then the SMA of just a 10. No real reason. Just got used to it. Just testing a few different things. So, okay, let's see what happens around this open. So we've got our levels, mapped out. It's just what the market's going to do from here. So we'll get over to the index. Index is opening a lot higher. So it's opening to the previous session's highs, which is important, okay? So whether we flush those and reverse, I don't know, and get a bit of a gap fill again. So yesterday we filled this gap on the index. Whether we're going to open here somewhere, flush, and then fill that gap in there, I don't know. We could just gap and run. There's no reason why you can't just gap and run because it was a bit of weakness there yesterday, whereas this time it could just reverse that, and people who are selling a bit of a break through this level are getting trapped, and that's the juice to continue this move up. So there's no reason why it can't. We just have to wait and see confirmation. So on the index, you wouldn't mind seeing, if we pop up here, extend enough and a pull back into that level, and that level start to hold, then you're looking for that gap and run, okay, as opposed to something that will flush and have a deep correction back in. So to me, the corrections are important. A shallow correction, sort of back in to retest it, is different to pushing back below that high. Okay, two different things. Okay, push back below the high is too much weakness. And to me, I'm looking more of a flush of the level and retracement, something like this, as opposed to something that's going to retest the level and go. Because what that'll do, and as it pulls back to the zone, drag in some buyers, drag in some sellers here, and then turn around and squeeze them out. So that's what the market needs to do. You drag in some sellers. If it wants to go up, it's got to drag in some sellers, set them up, trap them, rally. Okay. And vice versa. If you get these trapped breakout traders on the upside, and then they're trapped as the market reverses, and it sort of traps them, and pressures down, squeeze them out, and they've got to sell back into market to create the extra momentum to press down. Okay, so that, like I was saying, so let's just open up here. On the 5 minute chart, we're just talking, oops, I'll just get that up there. We're just talking this, I'll put that down there actually. This entry on a 5, it could pop. Okay, now we're getting a bit of gap and fill here. And it didn't, there's no follow through. That's why I get hesitant to taking too much before. I mean, there's times when you see a setup and it just goes, but that's just the nature of the beast. I think if it's going to be a nice trend day, they shouldn't just rally like yesterday. It shouldn't have just taken off if it was going to be a trend day. It should have pushed up, paused, had a bit of a grind lower, and then gone again, had a secondary leg up. And that will bring in some sellers, keep that momentum going, and build the momentum over the session with high lows, high lows, high lows. Instead, it just yesterday just gapped straight up into a zone and then started to fade. So different scenarios. Okay, let's just see what happens. So now what I'm looking for, just keep jabbering away while the market's trying to decide. So the MA, the 5 minute is starting to bounce off the, let's just look at, this is TradingView, by the way. I use TradingView. I've got it on delayed, but it just gives me a better view of the futures market as opposed to the CFD, because the CFD's got that out of hours So you'll see on the futures closes at 5 o'clock, whereas CFD have price action. It can stuff around a lot with your indicators. So I've got a lot of stuff on here, but anyway, we'll just keep an eye on. So we've gapped up, pressured into these highs. I think that was the same high. Yep. So we pressured into these highs, and it's just whether or not, we pull back, reset, and go again. I mean, there's two scenarios. You don't want to be buying into this level, especially if it's fading off that. You do not want to buy into that. You want to see what happens on the first pullback. Pullback starts to get bought. We're quite a distance away on the 5-minute chart from the MAs as well, so I'm very reluctant to even buy that. There's no reason why. I mean, like we did yesterday, we were sort of away, but we're in an expansionary phase here. We've had a lot of contraction, as in sideways action. So to expand up and just keep going is a big effort. And we're extended. We're extended yesterday, but it was kind of, you had a couple of minutes once we got through a level. So yesterday was different. Market was below a zone, just powered up through. When you get through a zone and it looks like it's continuing, we know there's a level above that. We're happy to buy and go long. But when you're gapped up into a level, it's kind of harder. You want to see it either back off from that level and get a lower high to sell into, or you want to see it power through, and what happens on a pullback, if it pulls back or it pulls back in the lower time frames, retests it, we look at the go again, we want to buy into that expansionary up again. So it's kind of in no man's land for me at the moment. So we're just trying to analyze where it's, I better draw up my, just bear with me 1 second. I just got, my cat is annoying me. Just be a sec, guys. All right. So I'm not seeing anything at the moment. What we're seeing is the market's pressured up into a previous level, flushed out the overnight high. So whether that's just a move before we fade, we just have to wait and see. So what I'm looking for here is whether we can hold below these MAs and we keep chopping around and we fade again, because in the back of people's minds is going to be what happened yesterday. What happened yesterday of the market gapping up and then fading all day. So people will be thinking, oh, same thing yesterday, which could in itself trap traders into thinking we're going to fade. They keep selling into it early and then they get squeezed out in the run. But you want to see, we just want to see some price action. It's as simple as that. We just want to see what the market starts to give us, what starts to show. Back to the Hang Seng, back to the index itself. So again, that secondary thrust up into the previous highs. But I'm not, there's your 5-minute chart. I'm not willing to jump on there either. So I use a couple of different platforms. Sometimes I've got IB, Trade Direct, or I've got an IG account too. Just depending on where I'm playing. Let's just minimize that then. So we just retested the highs. And don't forget the market's extended into the previous yesterday's highs. What we're just trying to question is whether we're flushing it or not. Okay, so to me, that's you got this is what we call an RTF. Let me just draw that up. So I tend to just take notes and things as I go, so it helps me remind me of what I was looking for. Was I right, wrong? Later on, when I analyze any trades. Here we go. We're starting to pressure up now. So if this breaks and holds, so I think this was yesterday's high. Is that right? Yep, that was yesterday's high we marked up. So that was a spike, 11.15. Is that right? What have I got? The charts are playing silly buggers here. So it's just going to spike into yesterday's highs as well. So I don't see this as a trade because we backed off from there. You've got this little pop. I mean, you could have bought it here, but then that could just be a stop run of these highs. Anyone that shorted off that high in here got to stop above, shorted in here, they've just flushed the stops. I want, and you know that's probably going to target up to this high of 28,822. This is only 20 points away. It doesn't leave me too convinced to go long up here. And I'm not seeing what I essentially like to see. I use the RSI a lot for any divergence like you've got in here. There's not really divergence in here. You've got divergence here. Let me just draw that. That didn't really give divergence. It was just a lower high. I'd rather see, or anyone that knows divergence, trying to think. Well, this is an example. Pressure high pressure into this, lower level on the RSI, but a higher level on you've got this kind of thing. I like to, little things like that on the short time frame. This is the problem with the Hang Seng. It just keeps charging, flushing. A lot of algos playing around in it, going from level to level generally. Always prefer to have a continuation style of a trade because it's just a lot easier than like yesterday's fading the predominant trend. Like the initial trend was up and having to fade that all day. Hard going, not easy. You don't want to be. So my style of trading, I'm guessing a few people that be watching would know, is waiting for confirmation through a lower high, higher low, and I'm watching a trade momentum. So I like so what I'm ideally looking for is a buy. I want the RSI above 40, selling below 60. So when it's sort of above 60 here, like it is now, it's kind of a stronger trend, stronger move up. So unless I'm long, I want to stay out. I don't really want to get short. Plowing through yesterday's highs. You can see the index here as well. So now we're going to be sitting and watching to see if this is a gap and run. So ideally, we got through yesterday's highs on the index. I'm going to pull back, hold some higher levels, and then extend up until basically the market will go till 2 o'clock before it closes for an hour. Opens again at 3. I like just trading that. I don't tend to do too much after 1:30 either. So I tend to get. Well, the other day I had a good day, and then I just gave it back in the knowing that I shouldn't trade after the 1:30 mark. Shouldn't have done anything, and then just chasing my tail. So I gave back a lot of the gains that I got earlier on one good trade, or two good trades. One good trade, I think it was. gave it back. So I tend to steer clear, especially in a choppy market. If it's directional, it's a bit easier because you can just sort of follow that direction right up until 2 o'clock. But when it's not directional, and like that move, I had a move, say, went from a bid zone to an offer zone, I sort of traded that up and it had a good pullback, and then it was heading back up, and I was sort of buying into that grind back up. But every time it was grinding up, it was coming back again. So I got stopped out, I think, twice and went short, and took that out as well. And so yeah. All right, still, if you're not long from off here, which I didn't see a setup off here, then it's a bit tough. Yeah, so what I'm looking for, I can, from a MACD, I'm ideally looking for a move up, like above the zero line. When it's like this, is expansion to me. When it rolls and you're above the MA, it's contraction. So it's kind of a pullback mode. And when it goes back through the zero line, you're looking for expansion again toward a down move. Not so much like this, but you're sort of trying to trade it, and I'm trying to look at my RSI with it. I want it to be, so if this RSI starts to fade back below 60 and we come back up to 60 and come back down, that's weakness coming into the market. And I could be looking for a lower high, or depending on where the price action is, depending on whether this is rollover as well. You've got these MACDs crossed down, especially into a level. So we'll just see. So you can see things, it went from stochastics. When it's trending, and this is what I've had problems in the past, you're not just looking for when it swings down, swings up and stuff. You don't, how do I explain? So if you're going long and it's sort of in that overbought territory, you don't stop going long, because that can be when it's trending, it sort of can just hang around overbought, the stochastics especially. But momentum is up, RSI is in place, MAs are in place, everything's in place except for the stochastics. So don't let that keep you out of a trade is more of a continuation based trade. But when you're against the trend, I use this more just as a bit of a, how would you say, a third party indicator. Something that just add, if stochastics wasn't there, it wouldn't bother me too much. I go mainly off the RSI now, and I use the stochastics a lot for shares, but I'm trying to gauge momentum with price action especially. All right, there's no RTF, we'll just take that off. Take that off. So to me, what I'm seeing here, you can see this move up one, bit of a pullback, another up, up. So this is kind of the anchor to this move up, which has been flushed. It's just, so when it gets flushed like that, but it hasn't closed below it, you're looking for that. It's just flushed some traders at the anchor, and it's continued to go higher. In that case, I would want to see, a bit of chop around here lead to that, which is probably just going to go now. No, the five's not really, the five's extended, but it could go further. The index itself, where's the index? Index itself is still holding up there. So this is kind of the zone where it can trap a lot of people, which I don't like trading as much. So it just keeps touching through that level. So this is the previous session's highs that's just taken out. So it's trapped. It's either trapped some traders that break out, trapped them long, and they're just either cursing or getting a bit nervous. Not to say it's going down. It's just it's either done that, it's going to reverse on them, or we get some sort of continuation. So continuation will see it hold really above this level here. I want it to have a bit of contraction and hold some minor higher levels, and we might get some expansion off. But we'll see. It always gets you concerned when it's just up at these highs and just hovering. In momentum, you see it's pausing up here as well. You know, things are in place, but they generally are in place even when they're going to trap you. I'm not seeing the 5-minute setup either. That's a 5 there. I'll keep that there actually. Yeah. So it is potentially fading off there. And I look at the time a lot. I don't know if anyone else does, but I know that, you know, especially with the candles, you're sort of anticipating what's going to happen to those candles. We're getting up to the end of a 5-minute candle. And you can see it's just fading below that level. So you don't really want to see that if you're bullish. You don't really want to see if you got long on that break. And this candle got through, finished below. This candle could potentially, it's got another minute and a half to go, finish below that level as well. And then what's going to happen in the next candle? It's setting up for a potential push through 72, 772. Okay, a bit of a fade off that level, but the problem I've got, or I see, is that it's a good strong up move. Okay, so it could be a lot of what we saw yesterday, which means just to be patient. We may not even get a trade till, I don't think I'll be sitting on till 2 o'clock chatting, but you'll always see, you know, what we're doing now is just talking through the action, what couldn't happen, what are we preparing for, what do we want to see, all that sort of stuff. And then you can always watch to see how it plays out. Yeah, for now, it could be a bit of what we saw yesterday. It could be just consolidating here. If it consolidates too much longer and starts to show some higher lows coming in, then you're going to look for that expansionary phase through, and you're going to look for the 5-minute just to keep going, go a bit higher, or at least this index to go a bit higher as well, which just got another level close to 100 points up. Let's just draw that in actually. Where am I? Here we go. So that's sort of into here as well. That's good just to remember if this fades and everyone's thinking this is going to be the level we're fading off, it could just go. Struggling though. Yeah, it's been tough going on these markets lately. I don't know if anyone listening is seeing a bit of the same. All these indices are not, especially the Hang Seng is just like I was mentioning earlier, has been choppy from day to day. It's kind of been in a bit of a broad range, deciding whether it's going to go back up or have a deeper correction, or, you know, much deeper correction, like I said, a 1200 point down on the index. And it keeps toying with levels, toying with highs. People get bullish and bang. So the US was bullish last night, and then just keep an eye on that. See this? So we're getting a bit of divergence on the stochastic slightly. Sorry, on the RSI. I might go long here. I'm just debating. Yeah, I'm going to go long. Whoop, did I get it? 53 is pretty. Just change my stop. So I've got a 40-point stop. I've got it just below here. No, I won't. I'll have it up here. If this goes, it should just keep going. It should expand, but I don't really want to see this candle reverse. Uh, 8. So what you want to see on the 1 minute now, I just want to see these candle lows hold. Oh, So just put a partial up there just in case. So I don't want to see it break down through this level, 796. It's kind of a wide stop to start with, but ideally I want this to hold. Okay, well, it doesn't kick on just up from here, then I'll probably cut it. Yeah, it's still a very grind through these highs, so I should put my stop in. So I've got a 40-point stop on that. If it just doesn't kick back up here, I'm going to get chopped. So I've got a 1 minute, well, sorry, 5 minute candle's going to finish in 30 seconds, and it seems to be forcing its way down back below. You can see back below this level, so it doesn't look too good for me at the moment. There's no reason we can't have another expansion up. Just probably to tag my stop before. Yeah. No, not yet. Yep, so it's not going to go up. Stopped out of that. Oh, you watch now. If we go up through here, I'm going to be forced to potentially have another crack, but I don't really want to, do I? Right. So to me, it's not convincing at all. It's just what it's just doing is drag people like me. I thought it was going to expand higher, dragging them in and then spitting them out. Whoop. So that fire, it could just keep grinding, grinding, grinding. So it feels like it's trying to soak in some. Oh, they go there. Soak in some buys, which would mean a squeeze lower could be on the cards. Either way, it's a tough gig. I mean, you're buying into an extended market on the index and the CFD or futures. There's no reason why it can't just keep spiking. It's just, there's going to be a chop fest, I'd suggest. Might need to be biased down. So it could just got this move. You could keep chopping, 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 grinding, grinding, grinding up, which you hate to see because it's just a. I'm going to shorten it through here. It's not like still holding. So you can see the algo's playing. I mean, that's not a physical trade. I just go chop, 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 chop. So algos are playing with levels, dragging in, spiking through the bottom of candles, back up again, just looking for liquidity. Yeah, it is, Joe. Yeah, you g'day, mate. Just saw you in there. So it's probably going to be another tough day. Tough day at the office. I think I should be going long again. The same on the flip side. Don't want to. So you can see the 5 is just there. It's toying with that high. So the short is coming in off that high, which is not set up short yet, and there's buyers that want a piece of it. You see that momentum's fading, so I kind of don't want to go long. It still could be. I should have another nibble at it. Yep, going in. 42. Breaks back below here, I'm done. I want to get it through those highs. What's that? So if we can get extending through that high. I feel like if it's going to go, I want to go soon. See, it's not normally the the Hang Seng will kick. It just go. It's trying to go, but you can see them knocking it up towards the highs. They're trying to soak it up into those highs. All right. So what have we got here? 10, 85 you can get to if it can. And I'll just put my exit below here, say 40 back at entry. So I moved it, stop back to entry. I'll move it at 40, use 2 points. Feeling like I should take 2 off. I want 85. So it's just pausing up here. So I want to try to keep my. I don't want to see it come back below this 1 minute. So if it's going to expand, it's got to do it now, and it doesn't want to. But the 5 is looking good. See that setup I said before? Faded, inside candle, and that's an expansionary candle. So I'll give it some room to get 85 for the partial. Come on. It's just not getting there. There we go. Am I done? You know what? Missed by a point this time. Go one more. Done. All right, 10's off. I'm just going to try to follow below. So I'll just be, I don't want to see that 1 minute candle reverse. So I've got stops here at say 40 now. Once this candle finishes, I just want to try to follow it up. If it looks to be fading, I'll be bailing. So really, if it comes back down to 65, I'll probably have to bail. And now, whoops. Just did it early, but it turned out all right. 70. All right, so that makes back for the earlier indiscretions. So if this reverses straight down, that's not a good sign. No reason why that should be doing that, should it? So we'll just see if we can get anything else on. Well, at least we've got a couple of trades just sort of to talk through. It's. I still don't like the upside movement at this stage. I think we are in stretch territory, but that momentum is still grinding up. And the Hang Seng, like I said, can do that time and time again. Just keep grinding, grinding, grinding. I don't know why that. Sometimes the charts are playing funny buggers. Why don't you just sit there then? So anyway, that was the setup. Sort of similar. This is a wiki. This candles are very wiki, so I'm not going to go long again. I'll stop myself from going long again, but it can't keep seeing this selling pressure and keep grinding. This is what people talk about. Algos play around with these markets a lot. That sort of wiki action and choppy action, selling in the strength is a bit of a hallmark, I'd say. Algorithmic traders, they just squeezing as they're averaging, get those prices jamming higher. What was it doing? It's not really that. It's not really one to look at. It's more. It's this. You stay there today. There you go. All right. So I was talking on. I don't know if anyone knows. We do a Spotty talk. Well, talk on Spotty. It's a really good show. It's Elio D'Amato. If you don't know, he's a cracking guy. Um, Talking about placing where you place your trend lines and things. Now it's not. I I will use whether you use the close or the open. Say whether you place or do you place on the bottom of the wick or above, across here, for example. Do you place it there or do you place it sort of the closes? Which for me it doesn't bother me so much. I use the highs because I'm a bit of a perfectionist. I like the exact levels. Um, but to me, it's got more to do with what happens after. I'm not going to trade if it gets through this trend. I'm not going to go long ever. Or if it touches through this trend, then I'm not going to buy as soon as I see that go. For example, now, if this goes down through here like just that, I'm not going to go short. For example, because I just think that is not. It's not what you want to do. You want to see what happens after. So that could easily do that. It's going to fake out some traders, which would probably short when it breaks the trend line and they got the stop above there and then turn around and come straight back up again. It, Markets will do it a lot because they know, algos know, and they're programmed to look for these sorts of things. So I would, it's more, I want to see that. I want to see these levels where stops were going to be triggered. So this could be rolling now. We might find that if that line would stay there, it might be that we're starting to fade now. So this is a 5-minute candle starting to reverse. What's the actual underlying doing? The underline's got into that secondary levels that we've just been talking about. Now it's starting to fade a bit. So you shouldn't be looking like a complete capitulation here. So what I'd be looking for here you could sort of nab a short, but you don't know if it's a reversal on the 5 and it's just a wick on the 5, just to flush out some traders, some of these longs, and then turn around and reverse again. So when you're going against a trend, I would ideally be looking for this 5 minute to have a deeper correction, and then I'm looking for the lower high, because when you get some sort of action, it's come down on the 5, for instance, and we start to get a bit of a pop up, and then we get a lower high on the 5. I'm not talking so much this, but if you get sort of that pullback up and then down on the 5, I normally draw it like that, because that's what I'm looking for in the 1 minute. I'm looking for a lower high in the 1, but this is the lower high that I'll be talking about and looking for on the 5 minute chart. Because once you get that, that's weakness in this chart. Whereas this is not particularly weakness at this chart. We could easily, stop here. What we've done is gone up a bit, had a pullback to flush. We've gone up a bit, a pullback to flush, taking out a few candle lows. Doesn't mean anything just yet. On this particular chart, this could just be a pullback because it's struggling. We're kind of wicky on the 5 minute up here as we got through the level. Okay, if the market wants to go up, it's going, like, I'm struggling at the moment. If we pull back and start to stick, I'm going to drag in some shorts, and once I start to turn, those shorts that have been dragged in thinking this is it, this is the time we're going to go down, I'm short, I'm doing well, they turn and get squeezed out. When they realize they're on the wrong side, and people on the sidelines realize that they're on the wrong side and want to get long, that's when you could get that really expansion of momentum through the highs, okay, off this chart, because this is just at the moment a pullback on the 5. You don't get it confused with what's happening on the 1 minute chart. 1 minute's a bit of a heads up. So, I mean, you could trade, the 1 minute's not even rolling at the moment. The MAs are still up. It's just a pullback on the 1 too. Momentum's coming back in. Momentum's still above the 0, so it's still in contraction mode the way I'm looking at it. But yeah, what I'd ideally like to see is that now, if this little pop stays below the MAs and we start to get a bit of a shoulder to trade short off, that's when anyone that's been holding long and stuck through this pullback, held through the pullback and is now down, and it starts to pop and we start to fade from a lower level, then they're going to probably go, oh bugger, I'm short. I should be getting out. Does that make sense? Guessing that's bloke. Oh, hey, bloke. Am I making sense? Am I just rambling like I usually do? So this is what I'd just be keeping an eye on. So it actually matches up quite nice, doesn't it? Let's just get rid of all this. I mean, so this is just my trading stuff. I guess it's trading the waves, not Elliott wave, any of that. I don't want to say rubbish, not any of that stuff. Um, it's just the flow, the ebb and flow of the market, you could call it, with regards to momentum. So I'm always looking at different time frames, long, short, what's happening, what's going on. So this could be fading more, but I'm not. I don't want to go short off this 1 because we're kind of on the 1 we're extended, whereas the 5 is still just in a bit of a pullback to the MAs. The MAs are somewhere down around here on the 5, which is this low. So you can see there's a zone. Let's just say the zone through there. And this is where you go, oh yeah, I don't really need to go long here. I'll go short off the 1 that capitulates, and you're left chasing your tail a bit. I don't see that as a setup on the 1. If it goes down, good on you if you got short. To me, it's luck. It's not a higher probability setup. All right. So you can see how it's kind of on the 1. It looks like it's setting for a short setting. It's just trapping, I'd feel, off this level. So it could pop again. But do I want to get long on the pop? Yeah, not 100%. So what I'll be looking for is a bit of a grind, and then essentially, if we're going to get some further weakness off these highs, which I'm sort of biased towards, I'm leaning towards, you want to see that start to fail on that 5 minute chart. Like I said, this kind of a push. And there's a difference between an acceleration and a grind. That was a grind up. Okay, that was more of an acceleration down and just swept down, took out some of these lows. You know, it's trapping. Like I would have had stop under there if I hadn't stopped out. If I hadn't closed out on this little run up, I would have been kicked out. So, and the reason why I don't like to muck around with it too much. I feel with the Hang Seng, you're right or you're right. You're right or you're wrong. Sorry, pretty quickly. So if that was going to expand, I think it's going to just take off. It would have just gone. It doesn't pause like it did. So when it's pausing, something else is at play. I'm going to be going now. It's about now. I'll keep going a bit longer and just see if we can get anything else on. Coffee's just got cold too. Right, so this you could feel that this is a shoulder. The 5 could go a bit further. The shoulder is in short. It could just flush the low and then come popping straight back, which it will love doing. It loves doing that. And it's right at that candle too. 10 seconds to the finish of this candle, which could just pop through that low and bounce straight back. Knowing that there's going to be some stops under there, some liquidity under there that wants to grab. And it's gone. See, we're going. So I'm not short. I haven't shorted it. That's me struggling a touch. So when it's struggling like that, it's because you got different time frame traders. 5 minute is in pullback mode. The one sort of in a downtrend, very over the last few minutes is in a bit of a downtrend. You can see it's just holding up below the MAs. It's got that secondary level leg down. So just take that off. What I want to see is if that just got to really. So what we're really doing in the process of doing is just weighing up the movement. What's happening on the 5 compared to the 1. Really tough to trade that if you were just trading off the 5. I mean, like I said, if you're going short on the break, you'll get caught on the. I know you say short in here, for instance, you shorted it there, it turned around reversed and straight away. So that's kind of doesn't make any sense to be shorting it through there. You'd rather short against the trend, especially. It makes sense if you got this sort of grind down and this candle say finishes here, and then you take the break, or you take it when it's back on the rise, taking out a couple of levels. That's fine because you're with the trend. But when you're against the trend, it doesn't make any sense. I'd rather see a lower high um, to trade short into off the 5 minute chart. So there's still an argument so it would stay there. I don't know why it keeps doing that. Um, it's annoying, isn't it? All right, I get the hint. So we've got this movement down now, which is frustrating because let's just reassess now. No, 5. Yeah, go away. feel that we could be looking to potentially just bounce in here. Go down to the, what's that, the 50 MA, EMA, gone through the 20. It's kind of a deep pullback. Do we get some buying off here? I don't want to go short. I'm not shorting it down here off this, based on this 5-minute chart. Even if it starts to, if we do get the lower high later, there's no reason we can't bounce all the way up and it could rally. You might be able to get 50 points out of it quite easily. So roughly from where we are, 60 up to the blue line's 70 points, 60 points, 60 points. So you can easily do that. And then get your lower high, but you've traded that little pop, which so now what I'm looking for is just a bit of a W pattern. We call W as in whoop, here, and then go. W is in 1, 2, you can see that, W, high, low, off this 1, knowing that the potential, there's a 5 going to rally again. And we're just getting about a minute from this 5-minute candle closing, so there could be some upside momentum. So that 15. It's basically there. I don't want to trade that, do I? Come here, come here. I'd like to see a W pattern, but it looks like it's just going to potentially pop. So what I think that it does a lot is, you see this 5-minute candle, it's quite long. It may just, now we just start a new candle, it might just flush into there, but hold above that low. So we get the W pattern on the 1. Get some more sellers and just before the close pop and get back up above 87. Potential run up to 20 and so, but that's what I'm looking for. Whether it happens or not, it's a different story. These MAs are not really fading. Might have to put in some work if it's going to work its way off this level. You see it's starting to look like it's curving. So we might get a bit of chop and then go. 12.20. So I don't like to muck around too much longer. But I might be, so what I'm seeing here is a bit of divergence. If it goes up through here, I might be jumping in long. Stuff and preempt it, and then if it just pops here, put my stop below 48. Just pausing up there, maybe just dragging in some buys. Might have to squeeze them back out again. Is it going to go this time? I don't feel that it. So going long in a second. I'm long. See what happens. Stop here. Probably going to reverse on me again. It's probably a little bit, could be a bit early. It's just trying to trade off this 5. I think if that can keep going. If it doesn't go soon, I just won't even bother. What I'll be looking just to push up to 20 or so, take some off. Okay. 820. It's just sticking around where I got in, so get some follow through. Otherwise, I'm just going to bail. So I figured if this was going to go, it should have gone. This could be a bit more, off the MAs now. Just want to see it kick up a bit more. If I need to drag in some more buys, that would be great. If I take 20, I might just take the second off at 20, but so I don't want to see now come down to 85. I'd be bailing on the whole lot. I'll just put my stop there. Get 20 going. So I'm not seeing significant strength in it. But I might get that 20. Did I put it at 20? Yep. I'm taking 10 off now, just because I don't like that little reversal. I don't want to see that candle reverse all the way down here. So I've still got it at 20, which I'm just going to take if I can change that quick enough. I think it's just going to flush. Let me just remove it. It doesn't go up. Out. Good time. So I missed out on the partial by, it's probably going to go now. Yep. I missed out on that partial, but added some points to net up. Up okay. So reasoning there, I'm not seeing a bucket load of strength in that little pop up on the one. If the market wants to go up, if it wants to go, it should have just sort of kicked on. So what I want to see in that 5, maybe the market maybe needs more confirmation. Okay, so maybe it's going to stall a bit here. We come back down, have a deeper, and then it goes again. And if it can go again, yeah, because the MAs are still down on the 1. It's sort of up on the 5. It's a bit of a mixed bag at the moment. What we might need to do is just convince some more buyers. So probably good I got out, but if that chops around here and has a bit of a push down and anything spiking down is getting soaked up, that's going to change a few heads, or it's going to turn a few heads and start to change some minds about whether they're going to be short or whatever. So we'll just see. I mean, I wasn't convinced that this little, let's just delete all that. We know the levels are. This move up here, this pullback, this little pop here doesn't leave me too convinced that it's sort of hanging around these MAs too, which is not a great sign. And when you've got momentum starting to slow and you're struggling to get back up to the highs, it's not a strong market. Okay, so like I said, we may need on the 5 have a bit of a pullback. We could just kick on. See the markets, it's wanting to go. So that chopping around, you'll see it on the price. That chopping around is both sides having sellers hammering into little pops, buyers sort of trying to push, a bit of a fight at the moment. So I could have got a better price in the second half, and he got 10 points, I think. Yeah, 10. But net, it's up. I'd rather be out and reassessing it. There you go. There you go. Would have got that partial, got 20. Anyway, it's gone a bit now. So doesn't mean it's going to finish up here. It could still just be getting that liquidity above that level. So I don't expect this 5 just to keep going up like this and going to new highs. I think that's a big effort. What I'd be looking for is more of a pullback. If I'm going to trade off the 5, pull back here and then go. That's what I would call an inside continuation. But if it's going to drive up, I'm more inclined to think it's going to roll, find some more sellers. But and this is the biggest problem at the moment. It's a bit of an each way bet. So that 1 is not too crash hot either. So I don't know how many points I'm up at the moment, but I'm just hanging around and see if we can get a fade. We'll give it a few more minutes. By fade, I mean fade down here. If it starts to grind and gets choppy, I just don't think we're going to be doing too much this session. The index itself, that's the underlying index. That could keep going, but I just feel like the way it is, but reacting off that level, reacting off this level. So that was the previous highs, reacted off there, reacted off some highs. It's a bit uncertain, a bit unconfident about going up, and it's a bit unconfident. It doesn't really want to drive lower either, like we did yesterday, like this. That happened a lot earlier. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 candles. We've already sort of done that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But we could drive lower from here, but you want to see that play out soon. Whereas you can see this bounced off the MA. It's a bit different too. This extended, drove up quickly, nowhere near the MAs. You've got quite a bit of gap between the 20 MA and the price. Drove and then started fading. Whereas what we've done here is kind of pushed up, good pullback to the MAs, which to me, I think we'll probably be trapped between these levels. If not, so be it. I'm not too confident in going long until I see something on the 1. And I want to see, I don't want to just see this grind up holding the MAs now. It's probably going to happen. So that second trade could have been a lot better, but it's the nature of the beast. When it starts to drive in a particular direction, it's a lot easier to hang on. But when your buffer's not that big, it makes it tougher. And I don't tend to muck around too much. I've got caught too many times. Like yesterday, I could have held better yesterday with that big sell-off. Now, I had the right idea the whole session. I think I only did 4 trades, 4 sells, and 1 loss. 2 little gains, gave that back plus a little bit on the 3rd trade, but taking it out and then made it all back plus some more on the way down again. But that could have been a hell of a lot better. When you're talking 50 points easy, so I was up anyway at the end of the session, but add 50 points by just refining the exit could have been a lot better. So here we go. We'll just see if we start to get, why won't it delete? We start to get on the 1, too much of this, then you might want to short it. Well, that's what I'll be looking for. Potentially a lower high on the 1 means a bit of a pullback on the 5. Potentially. 799, what's that? 25. So it's this low here. So I just take a lot of levels off the 5, a bit more confirmation. If I'm trying to trade off that 5, a lower high in the 5, we start to crack down below. That was at 799. It's like the 5 is starting to show some weakness, and that could be the start of a lower high. And then we could be moving at least down to potentially retest 34. So, there's a bit of buffer in that on the way down. But as it is, I might give it another 10 minutes or so, then call it quits. if anyone can actually see that. No. No. It's mucking around the screen. Not to worry. You can see that anyway. I'll put it over here. So it's not looking, it looks like it's just going to continue to grind higher. If it keeps grinding higher, I'll call it quits. Or if we trade long, I mean, you could potentially go long here and off the MAs. Momentum's up on the 1. Momentum is kind of up after that pullback on the 5 as well. Let's check this one here. Good, new Chris has kicked on. So looking that leg up to pretty much fade that if it can. See, you've got a bit of this momentum starting to fade here. So what I'd like to see is the RSI go down below 60 and on a little pop holds below 60 on price. Price you expect to push down, maybe try to go back up and hold below and then start to fail from there and you might get short. It's looking like it's going to potentially give us a bit of short fade. One more dip. And I'll just get rid of that. So yeah, if you're trading purely from the trend line, you just because it broke the trend line, you go short, it could turn around and just sweep you straight back out if it stops above there. So I'm not a bit of fan of that. Probably going short in a minute. See, even on the short side, it's not convincing at the moment. It's like it's equally weighted between bulls and bears, and that's just your choppy, um, choppy, like all the algos playing around, just searching for liquidity, flowing traders in and out, so on. I'd rather see this below the MAs. Technically, the 5 is still up. Just doesn't look convincing now. We've got this leg up starting. We've got this leg up, that faded, this leg up. We could be getting a deeper move. So if that's going to be the case, potentially that's your leg down. Maybe you're heading sort of below this low at 94. It's not convincing anyway. It could be this is playing out on the actual underlying pop up, pull back, which just did. another sort of lower high, which is going to drag in. If you get this lower high here, dragging some sellers, but hold above this level, back off the MAs, high, low in here, and then bang. It's sort of dragging in some sellers and then turn around and squeeze them out for that push up into the close at 2 o'clock anyway. So kind of looking at that, leaving me not too confident on jumping in the short side either. I think probably jump in short, be short-lived. And see how the MAs are still spreading up, that is, even though that momentum seems to be fading. See that this RSI now, it needs to go down from here. Otherwise forget about it. Come on, matey. It's getting held, it's getting supported, so if it's getting supported, they're not going to give up. So we'll see how it goes. Such a puzzle some days, working out. And I like to look at. I mean, I know in futures you get the market depth and stuff. You can use. It's to me watching the price movement too. You can see it at levels where it starts to speed up, slow down, and all that sort of stuff. When it pauses, it goes up, pause. You kind of get a feel for what's happening. It might be much. So 5-minute candle's finished and not seeing anything. God, it's a very struggling market. So on the 5, I don't see, apart from that long setup just in here, which we took that was the prime off the 5, but apart from that, it didn't actually match up too well with the 1-minute chart. Oh, should be careful. That acceleration down, it tends to get you thinking short. You kind of want it to break a level, essentially here. It's not really. So what it could be done is just dragging some shorts. Short, 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 and then boom. So that's, I think I'm going to go short anyway. Be above the high here. You see prices holding when the indicators are rolling. Yeah, I'll go in short. So ideally what you want to see when it comes into a level, it pops a few points through and you're watching it, and then it doesn't continue. You want to see the Hang Seng's got a great ability. If it goes, it just keeps going. It won't, like this kind of move when you're watching it around this level and it comes in, you should just go whoop, and then it's easier giving it a few more points than going short because you're kind of with that momentum as opposed to trying to be nitpicky with your points. Go, I want it 1 or 2 points below, and I'll short it. You do that, you can just get caught in a flush, which happens all the time in the markets, especially this time coming into the day when there's a lot of action already played out. It will flush, flush, flush. And this is, like I said, that looks short. People will short that and just break down there. It goes a few points below, catches them short, cleans them out. They go, okay, it's going long. Catch them long, clean them out. This could be another, bit of a, what do you call it? Tap pattern. I'm just not inclined from this one sideways action more than anything. Not inclined to jump in short. You know, the RSI is kind of below the 60 mark now, which I don't mind. You got the stochastics easing off, but the stochastics is easing off, you'll see, and price is not. So when you're going from oversold to overbought, we rallied. When you're going from overbought heading to oversold, we're not. We're going sideways. Not a good sign that we're heading lower. So there's a chance I might go long now. Okay, so it looks like, if we consolidate this, what's that doing? Shorting, shorting, shorting. They get suckered in. Sooner or later they figure they're wrong, and they buy to close, which might mean a pop you can take advantage of. But at the moment, I'm not convinced in going short. And seeing this, because now we're below 60, that's great for a short, but we're also above 40, which I kind of I like the 50 mark, but it can touch on that on a pullback. It touches on that 40 line on a pullback, when a pullback in an uptrend, and it goes up again. We've still got sort of that momentum. It's got back above zero with slight contraction, more sideways. So if this pops, might be reason to go long, especially that we've flushed on the 5. It's kind of like the MAs are catching up to it rather than it going back, pull back to the MAs. So that'll probably call it a day now. This is really rubbish action, really. Problem is I'm sort of in two minds now. The one's not showing a hell of a lot. The 5 looks like it wants to roll, but it doesn't want to roll, and something has to give soon. So look at that. Still trying to edge higher now. So now you've got a buyer and a seller button heads. And if we consolidate here too long, I think it's going up. We might retest those highs. The beauty of intraday, you don't want to get caught in these areas. You want to go when it's expanding. And that's kind of a skill, I guess. Trying to learn that skill when you buy into expansion, as opposed to trading in the chop where you buy into a fake breakout, it comes back and retraces on you, you get stopped out, and you do that a few times, and any good work done is quickly unwound. Where are we going down? Yeah. Go down and go up, just do something. It's kind of set up. It looks like people are watching this. We're going down. I'm watching the 5 minute off screen as well. Yeah, there you go. All right, so that's kind of a tougher move to get a board. Oh God, you really want to though. There's a chance. So we go on the 5-minute chart. You'll see bouncing off this MA. So it's kind of, yeah, be careful. This could be that flush. We just got that. We're getting a higher low, and then bang, we take out this high. Okay. I don't know. I sort of want to. You look at this structure. You're looking at this high, this lower high. You go, oh, we're short. MAs are up. MAs are up on the 5 and the 1. Probably the 1 still. Well, it's still up. 20 is above the 50. So it could be a flush. If that's the case, you're kind of like, well, I should be long, but I'm not. I don't really want to go long off here because it still could be an extension on that 5, really extend down. So if we tried to go up and we grind up and we struggle, then it could be another leg down. We might get something like this and then expand down again for a second move. Where's the one? Just got a minute. I'm lying that we're gonna. Not lying. This goes through here. Might short. Short. Look. Where did I short? Stop in. It's a 30-point stop. So if I lose that, I'll probably give back the gains I made. But so I want to see this expand. If we can just, it might chop around here, but as long as it holds below this level, I think I'm in with a chance. It's going to expand on the 5-minute candle anyway, which is through this low. So I've got to take some off down at 60, or if it just does nothing. It might. So I want to see it go into these lows. Kind of needs to put the pressure on some bulls, squeeze them out. So now I don't want it to go back above 89. Am I right there? Not to hold below double O. Oh, I'm out. All right, so I lost. What did I lose on that one? So that's just, it was just a trap, caught in a trap, maybe. Yeah, so I'm not, I think that's it for me for today. So I was up, I don't know what I was up, but that was a 10-point, managed to squeeze it down to a 10-point stop. It's just above here, it was above this level up here, which got tagged. I mean, I moved it down from 08, 011, 811 down to 93, 4, yeah, 94. So it was a 10-point loss on that one, which gives back some of the gains. That could keep going. So it's holding these MAs, which is it's trying to, but it's do I have one more nibble, expecting a bigger move down, but it's still off the problem is it's you'll see on the 5, it's off these MAs, but we are got a lower high. So with this MACD easing the momentum easing off with a lower high, I'm kind of thinking it's going to pull back. I kind of think there's going to be more room to the downside. But the one needs to hold in here. Take out this level, I might go short again. So you're going to really capitulate. Probably get short at the same level. Short again. We'll see. Not giving it much room anyway. I think I might get caught in the trap. All right, I'm out again. Oh, was I? Yep. Got caught in that flush, did I? It's another 20 points out on that one. Yeah, I reckon this market's just going to consolidate into the close, which is frustrating, giving you no love. That potentially is rubbish. If that breaks, it's gone. So I'm going to keep my eye on that actually. Where are we? I'm still leading towards the downside. Just too much later in the session. If this doesn't go down soon, it's not. You get late in the session and you got both. I think the algos run out of power. Someone unplugs them. So now we're starting to hook back up again, which see if we retest this level and fade, but at the moment it looks like it's going to chop around. Lower highs, higher lows, give us nothing for the rest of the day. So all in all, it was a bit of a rubbish session. I think I'm down a few points. I'll look at that later. Sort of 2 from 2. It's 2 and 2. Here we go. We'll just blast out, are we? So going long and there's not the world's best idea either. Right, they're on the way up. So I'm going to call it quits, actually. I think I'll leave it now. Done enough stream there. So there's been a few trades we've been able to talk through. Could have been better. Yeah, I think each trade was pretty good. I mean, it would have been nice to get a hold of that one, but I wasn't convinced with that action there. MAs, the 1 minute wasn't setting up. We're against the trend on both. So it was more just, hoping that it wasn't going to be a flush, which I don't like trading off that. You don't know this contraction is going to play out. I mean, this could just go straight down. So um, there's just not enough swings. It looks like there's some buyers down there willing to prop it and some sellers that are not willing to prop it too far. And then sellers just willing to cap it into that pop. Could be. So watching it weird, yeah. So I just saw that. Sorry guys, missed the comments then. But yeah, it's a grind either way. So you're not going to get a momentum push, I wouldn't think, at this time of day. As in, maybe people will be looking to buy that breakout. You can guarantee. Well, I'll be more inclined to think it's going to pop through the high, drag it some buy it, and then come and step on them. I wouldn't expect that's going to expand from here, but could happen. It could happen. I just wouldn't feel confident trading that. I'll delete that. I'll keep watching it, but yeah, it wasn't. Some of it, all in all, could have been, like I said, could have been a bit better. Um, I'll go back to the drawing board and look at. I mean, look at those swings. It's harder. I find it very, very hard to trade when you get the 5 minute pointing up and it's in the pullback, and then you don't get a setup off the 5 or anything like that. It's a tougher gig. And then the 1 minute is swinging like this. So what I'm looking at to see if what 5 minute fades. So I don't. Maybe we'll fade off that. Doesn't look like it at this stage. So this sort of pullback and it's trying to jam up. We're still fighting sellers up there. So don't be too confident in jumping in long up here, or short for that matter. All right, I'll call it a day there, guys. Flat. I think I was down a few points all up. Sort of gave back some of yesterday's good work, but it's the nature of the beast. As long as you keep plugging away, as long as you're managing your risk each day, each and every trade, you've got to manage your risk. You take a punt uh, of which way you think it's going and why, and hopefully we talked through quite a bit of that. Why I think stuff's happening, and there's times like, especially today, the kind of action today, it drags you into some really, lack of a better word, crappy setups. You can drag into some crappy setups because you're looking for some action, and it's hard to stay out off those trades. So, in hindsight, this could have been an entry long through here, which is pretty much where I was short in here looking for that expansion. So the reason why I got short was in that end of that candle, looking for the expansion. As soon as it pops back above, you sort of know that you're in you're in a bit of trouble. Didn't stop me from jumping in again off the one, but yeah, that's the nature of the beast. So we'll see if this fades up here. I'm expecting it to fade up near these highs. Wouldn't expect that to carry on through there. If it could easily flush and come back. It's just, like I said, the market's looking for liquidity. It's going to take out a level, knowing that there's stops there and come back in there. The stops get triggered. So if anyone's short, they've got to buy a stop above. They buy into it. Algos are there as the seller orders, and they push it back down. It gets pushed back down. It's not. It's just the way. It's a perfect algo day. It's not a trend day. it's into resistance like it was yesterday, but we didn't get that fade like we did yesterday, which was, you could see it playing out today. It could, I don't expect it's going to pop up here. I expect more some mucking around, and then you'll get something kick off at the start of from 3 o'clock. So anyway, we'll call it a day there, and then yeah, we might do this again sometime. Anyway, guys, thanks for joining me. Any questions, like I said, email support@tradesetup.com.au. Take a look at the demo platform if you want. Playing around with that. Any questions, just email it to me. Otherwise, I'll speak to you again soon. Cheers, guys. Bye.